Good day, Junior Tickies. I'm Mrs. Brimacombe. We're going to look now at Chapter 2, Activity 5. You are provided with the information of superstores for August 2024. The business uses a markup of 60%. 5.1. Record the transactions in the cash receipts journal, cash payment journal, and the debtors journal. 5.2. Complete the following accounts in the general ledger for August 2024. Question 5.3. Complete the debtors ledger for the following debtors for August 2024. So you're not required to complete all of them. And then question number 4. Complete the debtors list and the trial balance on 31 August 2024. So take note that this activity focuses on everything that you've done to date with regards to accounting. You started in grade 8 with a service business, and then we moved on to a trading business by looking at Chapter 1, cash transactions, and now in Chapter 2, we've added credit sales transactions. So now this is a mixture of everything that you've done. So just a reminder again, when you start an activity, you start with the opening balances, and now take note, they said trial balance of superstores on 31 July 2024, but yet we are busy with August. That's because the closing balances at the end of last month will be my opening balances the new month. The same as with the debtors list, the closing balances at the end of last month will be my opening balances in the new month. So that is your step number 1, completing all the balances in the general ledger. And now take note, they didn't ask you to complete all of the ledger accounts, only some of them. So anything that you did not need to complete the general ledger must still go into the trial balance. So you can start by writing these balances and totals in brackets. But we'll get to that a little bit later. We'll do this step by step. Then, secondly, all the transactions must be posted now to the relevant journal. That will be either the debtors journal, the cash receipts journal, or the cash payment journal. On a daily basis, you have to take it where a debtor is involved. You have to take it immediately to their account in the debtors ledger. This happens daily. At the end of the month, when we are done with all the transactions, then we total the journals and we post the totals to the general ledger, so that the next step we can complete the trial balance. So we're going to start this activity by looking at all the transactions that's relevant to the cash receipts journal. We're starting with day 1. Received 9,100 from a debtor B. Frog in part payment of his account and issued receipt number 31. So this transaction happened on day 1. It specifically said to you a receipt was issued. This is why we need to write duplicate receipt. Frog, which is the customer, will get the original. The business will keep the duplicate. How much did we receive? 9,100. For what reason? Debtors control. Very important. At the same time, take it to the individual's account. On the same day, cash sales of merchandise as per cash invoice 81, 984. So we start with the source document, duplicate cash invoice, my details, sales, amount 984, for what reason, sales, and to calculate the cost, take the selling price times 100 divided by 100 plus the percentage markup. So, don't forget, they said to you that the markup is 60%. So every time we want to calculate the cost, we need to take the selling price times 100 divided by 160. Then on the same day, the owner, Robin Hood, decided to increase her capital contribution to 850,000 by depositing money directly into the business bank account. So don't get caught out now by writing 850,000. If you go and you have a look in the trial balance, the capital balance is currently 819,423. She would like to increase, or she did increase, her capital to 850,000. This means that the difference is the capital that was contributed, and the money was paid into our bank account. So my source document is bank statement. From who did we receive the money? Robin Hood. For what reason? It goes directly into the bank, and this is because of capital. And now you will see there were no other transactions on that day. So when we now close off analysis, we're only going to add the 9,100 plus the 984. So be careful, because this is often where we make mistakes when we complete the cash receipts journal. Next transaction, day 11, received an EFT from a debtor Seabird for 6,450 to settle his account. To settle his account means that he paid it in full. So now they provided you with the figure, so there's no calculation involved. My source document, bank statement, from who did we receive the money? Seabird. How much did we receive? 6,450. It goes directly in the bank. For what reason? And that goes to debtors, because this person is a debtor. So you have to take it to his personal account as well. On the same day, sold goods costing 5,780 for cash as per cash invoice. Source document, cash invoice, and the next number is 82. Details, sales, analysis of receipts. Now you need to be very careful. They gave you the cost, 5,780, which means you needed to calculate the selling price, which goes into sales and analysis of receipts, by taking the cost times 160 divided by 100. Be careful, don't just always assume that they provide you with this selling price. Day 13, received 3,100 from Frog in part payment of his account, issued receipt 32. Source document, duplicate receipt, number 32. On day 13, from who did we receive the money? B. Frog. How much did we receive? 3,100. For what reason? Debtors control. And we have to take it to his ledger account. This is debtor number 1. On day 20, cash sales as per cash invoice, 12,960. So source document, duplicate cash invoice, day 20, details sales, analysis of receipts, 12,960. For what reason? Sales, and to calculate the cost, which goes into your cost of sales, we have to take the selling price times 100 divided by 116. There were no other transactions, so we draw a line and we total it, and that is our total in bank. On day 21, received an EFT from the following debtors in part payment of their accounts. H. Lion, 13,000, Fox, 1,800, and Cricket, 5,720. You cannot add them together. Think about it. How are you going to take it to the individual's account if everything is added? Where are we going to allocate this to show that they owe us less money if we add them together? So this must be shown separately. So we start with the source document, bank statement. From who? Lion. Bank, 13,000. Debtors, 13,000. On the same day, F. Fox, 1,800, 1,800 is Cricket, 5,720, 5,720. A reminder, nothing goes under analysis because the source document is bank statement. That money was paid directly into our bank account. Day 28 received an EFT from B. Frog in full settlement of his account to date. And this is the part where I've kept on emphasizing and saying to you, on the same day that you complete the transaction, take it to the individual's account in the debtors ledger. Because when I get this type of transaction, I know immediately, but what is the outstanding balance? There's the debtors ledger, which we're going to get to later on. We have to look at all the transactions that happen from day 1 up to day 28 on the day which the payment was made, which means when he made a payment, they owed us less. When they purchased, they owed more. When they make a payment, they owed us less. When they purchased, they owed us more. So how much did this debtor settle then? 17,102. So this is a perfect example to illustrate to you the reason why completing the debtors ledger at the same time. Right. Now that we are done with the cash receipts journal, we've looked at all the transaction. We can total. We don't total analysis of receipts. We start with bank, sales, cost of sales, debtors control, and sundry accounts. Now, to know that you've done this correctly, remember that bank is debited, the rest is credited except for cost of sales, because cost of sales is a debit entry, and the account which is credited is trading stock. If you think about it as well, cost of sales is a non-cash item. It's not that I'm physically paying for cost of sales, and when I make a payment, it goes into the CPJ. So it doesn't make sense. So this means if I take my sales plus the debtors control plus sundry accounts, it should equal the bank total. If it doesn't, it means that somewhere you've made a mistake. To do a quick calculation to see if your cost of sales is correct, the business uses a fixed markup percentage, which means if you take your total sales and you times it by 100 divided by 160, it should equal your cost of sales. Moving on to the CPJ. Day 4, bought office furniture from Green Furnishers and paid by EFT 22,300. We start with the source document, EFT, and the number, on which day did the transaction take place, from who did we purchase, for how much, for what reason, and that is equipment. Office furniture will be grouped together as equipment. We don't write office furniture. So these are the simple questions to ask yourself when completing the journals. And then you will get it 100% correct. On the same day, send an EFT to OLX Rental to pay the monthly rental of the office for August and September The rent is 5,600 per month and will increase with 5% from the 1st of September. So this is important to take note of. Although we are busy in August, a payment was made to pay the rent for August and for September. And the rent will increase from the 1st of September. So there's a little bit of calculations involved here. We start with the source document, EFT, number 14. Who did we pay? OLX rental. Now, how did we get to that 11,416? The rent is 5,600 per month. And now you've got two options. If you take 5,600 and you times that by 5%, it gives you the 280, and that is the amount by which it will increase. But then I still need to add it to 5,600 to get the total amount that will be paid for August and September. Or you can take a quicker road by saying 100% is the original amount plus 5% increase, which means I'm going to times it by 105%. It gives you the answer that you're looking for. What is the rent after the increase? And then I just add the 5,600 to get to the same answer, 11,480. So take note of the different ways in which we can get to exactly the same answer. Day 6, paid the weekly wages by EFT. The business employs 4 employees who each earn 2,500 per week. So to calculate the total wages, we have to take 2,500 times 4. And that equals the wages for the week. On the same day, bought merchandise from Naidu wholesalers and paid by EFT 14,200 after a 5% trade discount was given. So a reminder, when we're talking about trade discount, it means paid less on items purchased. We only want to know, but what is the amount that we paid for it after the discount? So we start with the source document EFT. From who did we purchase? Naidu wholesalers. So they said to us 14,200 was for merchandise, which is trading stock. And this was after a 5% trade discount was given. So there's no calculation involved here. If the transaction was different and the word said before a 5% trade discount, then there was a calculation. So be careful with the wording when you are completing the transactions. Day 13, paid the weekly wages by EFT. The business employed another employee who earns 1,800 per week. So now if I start with the source document, EFT, number 17, cash. Before it was 10,000, another employee was added who earns 1,800. So my weekly wages will now be 11,800. On the same day, the owner, Robin Hood, withdrew 2,000 cash from the ATM to pay for his personal vehicle's repairs. I don't care for what reason the owner took the money. Whenever you see the word personal, it means it's a personal expense and this must be shown as drawings. My source document, ATM, actually the ATM slip, details cash, bank 2,000, and this is because of drawings. On the same day, so there's 3 different transactions on the same day. Bought inventory 16,200 and packing material 3,450 from GM wholesalers. The proof of payment was emailed to GM wholesalers. So they specifically said that we made a direct payment. That's why my source document is bank statement. Who did we pay? GM Wholesalers. For what reason? We purchased trading stock. Inventory is shown as trading stock and packing material, and in total a payment of 19,650 was made. Day 20, purchase stationery from Jelly Stationery, 715 by EFT. Source document EFT number 18. On day 20, from who did we purchase? Jelly Stationery. For how much? 750. 15. There's no money column open, so it goes under sundry accounts. On the same day, drew 500 cash from the ATM to restore the petty cash. So cash was taken from the ATM. That's why we've got cash and ATM. How much? 500. And this was so that we can put it into our petty cash, which was 500. Day 21, paid the weekly wages by EFT. And there's no mistake, the amount isn't given. What you should know now is on day 21, the weekly wages was paid. What was the previous wages? 11,800. So it will be the same this week. They didn't say anything but that there was another employee or any of that. So that's why we just go to day 13 so that we can see, but what was the weekly wages before? Day 25, received a telephone account from MTN and paid by EFT 2,400. Source document EFT day 25. Who did we pay? MTN. How much? 2,400. For what reason? For telephone. There's no money column open for telephone. That's why it appears under sundry accounts. Day 28, paid the weekly wages by EFT. So the same as before, the weekly wages went unchanged. There's no added information, so we can assume that it stays exactly the same, the 11,800. On day 28, the same day, the bank statement received from Absa Bank reflected the following. A debit order in favor of OUTsurance 2,870. 80% is for the insurance of the business and the remainder the owner's personal home insurance. So to start off with this, our source document is bank statement. Who did we pay? OUTsurance, and in total 2,870. But not all of it is a business expense. Only 80% is for the insurance of the business, and the difference, which is 20%, 100 minus 80, the remainder is for the owner's personal insurance, and that must always be shown as drawings. Anything that the owner takes for personal use is shown as drawings. So this means the first part of the transaction, take 2,870 times 80%, that is insurance, and then the 20%, or just take 2,870 minus 2,296 equals 574, which will go to drawings. The second bullet, direct transfer of 1,100 to Standard Bank to pay the monthly loan installment. Please remember our source document, bank statement. We've received the bank statement from Absa, but who did we pay? We paid Standard Bank. How much? 1,100. For what reason? Loan. And I have to specify the name of the bank again. The last bullet, payment to Walter Municipality for 3,200 to pay the water electricity account. Source document, bank statement. Who did we pay? Walter Municipality. How much? 3,200. For what reason? water, electricity. If we are done with all the transactions, we can now draw a line and we can add each column. When we are completing the CPJ or posting from the CPJ or something that you've learned from the CPJ, bank will always be credited and the rest will be debited. There's no exception now. So if I want to check if I've done this correctly, if I take everything else, starting with trading stock, and I add all of those, it should equal the bank. If it doesn't, it means you've made a mistake, and then you need to go and check. Next, we're going to look at the debtors journal for August 2024. So all the transactions related to the debtors journal means that goods were sold on credit, and the source document that we use is duplicate invoice. The customer gets the original, the business keeps the duplicate. So the first transaction happened on day 6, sold merchandise for 9,120 to H. Lion on credit and issued invoice 56. We start with the source document by writing it right on top because I know it's the only source document that will appear in this journal. That will be number 57 that was issued to H. Lion on day 6. The selling price, 9,120. To calculate the cost, take the selling price times 100 divided by 160. On day 11, sold goods on credit to B. Frog, F. Fox and S. Cricket. So this must all be shown separately, and they provided you with the selling price, which means every time you need to calculate the cost using the selling price times 100 divided by 160. I think before I continue, it's important to take note. The challenging part is right in the beginning, sorting out which transactions goes into which journals. And that is why it is imperative for you to understand. Identify the transaction, identify the source document, then identify the correct journal. Because the rest is so much easy once you've sorted it out and know where it's supposed to go. Day 15, H. Lion bought goods on credit for 19,136. This was subject to an 8% discount. Now we get to the little bit more challenging type of transactions where the calculations is involved. Why? 8% trade discount was given to Lion, which means that he bought on credit for 19,136. But now you need to remember that the cost is always calculated on the original selling price. So to find the original selling price, we have to, step number 1, take the selling price after the discount times 100 divided by 92. Where did we get that 92? 100 minus 8 equals 92. This will provide us with the selling price before the trade discount, so that we now can calculate the cost by saying the selling price before the discount times 100 divided by 160. And once you know what's the selling price and what is the cost, it's a case of entering the transaction starting with the source document number 61 on day 15, H. Lion, the selling price, this is the amount which was subject to 8% discount. So this is after the discount, and then to indicate the cost, it goes into cost of sales. Day 25, sold outdated goods on credit with a 50% discount to Seabird for 6,800 after discount was granted. So now you need to look at each one individually before you just assume all of this and now have to times it by 50% to calculate the cost. So Seabird, they said 6,800 after discount was granted. So if we look at the calculation to find the original selling price, we have to times it by 100 divided by 50 so that we can calculate the cost of sales. This is very important to understand. Beef frog, 11,520 before discount was granted. So that's not the selling price that was given to the customer after the discount. So this one, it's a little bit different. We now have to work out 11,520 times 50%. This is my selling price. And to work out the cost, we use the original selling price, 11,520 times 100 divided by 160. So it's technically a little bit easier than Bird because they've given you the amount, the selling price before the discount. Whereas with Bird, it was after the discount. And then S Cricket, they said the cost is 10,200. To work out the selling price, it means we have to times it by 160 divided by 100. But now a 50% discount was given, so then we need to times it by 50%. So here, what is the challenging part is not knowing how to enter it in the journal, but the calculations in calculating the selling price and calculating the cost. Once you are done with it, you can add, draw a line, and total sales and cost of sales. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.